You haven't missed a thing. Kurt Busch continues to lead here at Phoenix, looking for his 4th win of the season. Out front here in the, which we all were approaching the closing laps, 245 of the 312 in the book. Busch is up front, but the story is a little deeper in the field. Jeff Gordon's chasing the 97. But Tony Stewart and Mark Martin in that championship battle. Martin currently running 8th on the racetrack, trying to work his way around Dave Blaney. Update that, up to 5th on the racetrack. But the story involves Tony Stewart, who is slipping backwards in the field. Came in leading the championship standings, had a car that was tight most of the day. Before he came in last time, he said the car was starting to free itself up. So they helped it at his request and freed it up a little bit more with a chassis adjustment. Just a few laps ago, he radioed in, "Sorry guys, it's way too free now, the car too loose, it's my fault." Greg Zipadelli, calm on the radio, came across saying, "Don't worry about it, drive the car as best you can. If we get a chance, we'll fix it." Meaning if there's a caution and he comes down pit road, we'll make the adjustment on the car. Tony Stewart racing for the win every time out, but also racing for a championship this week and next week in Miami, trying to hold on to every precious position and lock out Mark Martin and the rest of the championship contenders. Busch leads, Stewart chasing, Martin in the middle. Alan.
Every spot Tony Stewart might lose, every point he gives up to Mark Martin is every bit that much more pressure that Mark can apply on Tony next weekend down at Homestead. 112 is the gap to start the day. And Mark trying to narrow that a little more if he can get by Dave Blaney for 4th.
That's 5 points if he can just get by that 77 car, Blaney.
Seen this movie before earlier today, haven't we, with Mark working on that 77 and taking a while to get around him?
Yeah, and with the traffic in front of him, it makes it even more difficult. In the meantime, Rusty's sneaking up on him.
And I tell you what, there we go, Kurt Busch, he's the leader, but right behind him is coming Jeff Gordon, closer and closer, only 0.8 of a second behind Busch.
John Andretti there, the 43 car started on the outside of the front row. Now the first car lap down in 18th place. Even though we've had 3 cautions in the race, they've been kind of spread out. This race really has featured a lot of long green flag runs that put a lot of guys way behind. And now Gordon clear of the traffic and setting off in search of Kurt Busch.
0.6 of a second that time behind Kurt Busch.
And faster, Matt Kenseth, though, the fastest of the top 3. Is
that the rev limiter I heard?
Sure sounded like it.
Busch using the high lane, Gordon down low.
And to get to the other end, and they swap. Kurt Busch will run lower than Jeff Gordon does. That time they almost mirrored each other. 0.5 of a second, 1/2 second.
Damn it, you don't ever tell me nothing, Ben.
Mark Martin wanting to know something
that he's not finding out.
But he's not finding out. Bill, what's happening with Kurt Busch?
The car's good, Benny, but what's going on here is a lot of teamwork. His spotter is telling him where the 24 is running on the racetrack and where he's fastest, and then the guys down here in the pit stall are calling out the times. So Busch is driving the race car, spotter's watching the competition, crew is watching the clock.
And you just saw that, folks. Mark Martin has gotten by Dave Blaney. He's moved into the 4th position. Gained 5 more points on that championship battle.
You know, talked about earlier in the day, Mark Martin kind of being very frank and wearing his emotions on his sleeve. That happens when he's behind the wheel of the race car, too. And I'm sure if you're Ben Leslie as crew chief, you have to understand a little bit of where that emotion's coming from during the race.
But I think everybody's like that. Every driver is like that. Once you get behind the wheel and you're out there doing your business, you're driving these race cars angry. And that emotion comes through on the radio.
It's unbelievable what adrenaline does to a human being. And these drivers right now, as Rusty Wallace is going by Dave Blaney, the adrenaline surge in these drivers right now is as high as anyone gets. and it's just incredible what it does to you.
Dave, how about Mark Martin?
Well, Alan, remember earlier in the race they put out a set of scuffed tires that Mark said were the best that he's had on the car. They only had one set left. That's the set that's on there now. It's working incredibly well, and the report from the crew is that they can make it to the end on fuel.
Getting around the Mike Skinner car, the 4. Skinner is in 25th place now. You know, we talked about the championship standings and gaining points. If you're not familiar with how the NASCAR Winston Cup system works, you get points for every finishing position in every race. The winner of the race gets 175 points. It goes down by 5-point increments, back through 6th place, then 4-point increments, back through 11th place, then 3-point increments, all the way back through the end of the field in 43rd place. Trouble turn 3, got a car on the wall.
Christian Fittipaldi is damaged.
Against the wall in the middle of 3 and 4, Mark.
Big crash.
Let a couple of runs out. 6 in the right rear wheel, 2 in the right rear.
I tell you what, NASCAR, and we see a lot of cars getting a lap back. John Andretti, Kevin Harvick. NASCAR officials will tell Christian Fittipaldi not to so quickly start getting out of that car.
You're right. Unless you're on fire, you do not want to unbuckle when there's cars still coming around to get the caution. Because if somebody slips, if it was oil or something, and would have wound up in that car, it would have been very bad.
Christian Fittipaldi making his first NASCAR Winston Cup start. Former star on the kart championship car series. His day will come up shy of the finish. Jason Leffler got a piece of it.
Yes, you did that. He's looking and said, you mean I did all that damage? Didn't feel like it was that much damage.
4 tires, 2 rounds down in the right rear. Come on, guys.
Mark Martin's radio.
5,
Dave?
4.
You heard the adjustments, Alan. Scott Kurtz will put that wrench in. He's the catch can man. He reaches over now. He puts the wrench in, and they will turn it 2 rounds to give Mark the adjustment he wants on that chassis. Hopefully the adjustment that will take him to the end. Bill.
Kurt Busch is just a little loose. Jimmy Fennick didn't want to mess with the car too much. It's a 1/10 of a pound of air pressure adjustment on the 97, if you can believe that. He's on pit road. As for the championship leader, Tony Stewart, remember his car was getting too loose. So it's a wedge adjustment that they made to try and tighten him up just a little bit. Stewart had just said the car was starting to come to him. Mark.
Jeff Gordon already away. Bill was 4 tires. He said, I want a little more of what you just gave me around in the right rear to loosen him up just a little bit. But Matt Kenseth went with 2 tires and won the race off pit road.
And I think Rusty Wallace did the same, Marty. Kenseth and Rusty, the first 2 off the pit lane, followed by Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon.
1/10 of a pound of air pressure. That's like going, phew.
Yeah. I didn't even know that they made a gauge that could read a 1/10
Me
of a pound.
either.
Look how close this was between Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon.
Man, just a foot.
Wow. All right, now what happened to put us under caution? Top of the screen.
I think Christian probably had help on that deal.
With Jason Leffler.
Yeah.
Welcome to NASCAR.
Man. Big lick. Listen, watch that. Here he comes.
Wow.
Tom, go down the Discover card.
Stay in front of him. Go low. Go low.
I don't know.
Attaboy, Richard, you're right on the ball there, buddy. Spotter for a 26 car, Richard Boston.
I don't know if Jason slid up the racetrack. He was awfully high to have a car on the outside of there.
So under caution here at Phoenix. 2 tires for Matt Kenseth. He's off pit road first.